In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the top 3 mistakes that we are seeing when it comes to webinars being used as a form of lead generation. The number one mistake that we are seeing is a webinar happening as just a one-hit wonder. It's not part of a wider, broader campaign. And therefore, just a webinar as a one-off in isolation, no pun intended, is not going to work. We have to think about what comes before it, what comes after it. How do we build upon the relationship with those people who turned up to the webinar and form out a bigger picture? The second mistake that we're seeing is at the end of the webinar, there's either no call to action or a really, really hard call to action. So what I mean by that is either the webinar finishes with just thanks for coming and there's no logical next step offered to those people who attended the webinar. What we want is those people who attended, if they're really inspired, they loved it, they want to hear more, we want to offer a logical next step. Is that a 15-minute free consult? Is that download a checklist? Is that have a demo? What is sort of the logical next step from there that they can take to continue the conversation and progress the relationship with you? The flip side of that is that some people are going really hard and straight away offering for people to buy their product or service. Now that's pretty salesy and typically doesn't work. Statistically speaking, only 3% of your target market are ready to buy at any one point in time. And I'd argue right now it's probably even lower. And so therefore having straight away, I've never come across your product, your service, your brand before, and going straight in for the kill of come buy from us, it's too hard a conversion point. People typically need to have come across or experienced your brand with over 15 touch points before it's going to convert. So we need to be looking for something as a soft, logical next step so people who are inspired and want to hear more can progress the conversation. Finally, the third mistake that we're seeing is no follow-up. And this one is a biggie and one of the biggest mistakes. It might sound obvious, but most people miss it. 80% of sales takes 5 follow-ups or more, and only 44% of people follow up once. There is a massive disconnect there and it's a massive missed opportunity. So you need to look at after the webinar, that's great that people attended, how do we follow up with them? And actually on another note, how do we follow up with people who registered but didn't make it? And so we need to look at, is that data perhaps from a marketing team who organized the webinar being shared with the sales team so that they can really naturally and organically in a non-salesy way follow up with those people? And perhaps it's even as soft as adding them on LinkedIn and connecting with them and kickstarting a conversation from there. But unless there are multiple touch points and consistent follow-up, then you're not going to see any conversion or any pipeline or progression come from your webinar.